Hello there. Today, I want to begin this story in a very different way. Not with cheerful greetings, not with success slogans, but with a real moment so real that I can still remember every breath of it. It was a freezing evening when I was 25. I was sitting under a dim yellow light in a cheap rented room. My bank account was almost empty. No goals, no direction, no reason at all to believe my life would get any better. I just stared at the wall in front of me and asked myself, why do some people move forward while I stay still? And I was scared that if I didn't change, next year would look exactly like this year. And 10 years later, I'd still be the same me from that cold night, exhausted, unclear, and unsure what I truly wanted. Have you ever felt that way? That feeling of being so tired, you don't even know where to start? Wanting to change your life, but even setting a goal feels heavy. If yes, then I want you to know this. You are not alone. I've been there. And from that darkest moment, I realized something that later changed my entire life. It's not time that makes us grow old. It's not knowing where we want to go that makes our life lose direction. Today, I want to open a journey with you, a very personal journey where you'll not only learn how to set goals, but also learn how to see a better version of yourself ahead. And before we go any deeper, I want you to hold on to this. At the end of the video, there will be something that if I had known earlier, my life would have changed long ago. So if you're ready, sit down, breathe a little slower, and we'll begin. When I was young, I used to think goals were a luxury, something only for people who were already prepared, already capable, already knowing what they wanted. As for me, I was just trying to survive week after week, month after month. I worked in a rush, ran around, earned just enough to pay the bills, then went back to the same old loop. And I used to think, someday things will just get better. I just need to try a little harder. But time is not the kind teacher I thought it was. Time does only one thing. It amplifies whatever you repeat, good or bad. If you're unclear today, you'll be twice as unclear next year. If you live without direction, you'll be more lost every season. If you only exist, life will return to you exactly the level of energy you put in. I didn't realize that until the day I met my mentor, Mr. Schoaf. He looked straight at me, as if he could see through the mind of a young man trying to appear strong, and asked, "Jim, where's your 10-year plan?" I laughed it off. I said I was busy, that I wasn't ready, that I could do it another day. He shook his head very gently, but that gentle shake felt like it touched the deepest part of me. He said, "It's not that you're not ready. You just haven't dared to face the life you want to live." I was silent, and that was the first time I saw clearly that the real problem wasn't the goals, it was me. I was afraid to write down what I wanted, afraid I wouldn't achieve it, afraid of failure, afraid of looking at a blank page and seeing how many years I had wasted. We often don't set goals, not because we don't have dreams, but because we're afraid of being reminded that we haven't improved in years. But you know what? Life doesn't change because fear is comforted. Life changes when you have the courage to be honest with yourself. When I started writing down what I wanted, even the smallest things, I finally understood a truth that was painful but necessary. It's not life that keeps us stuck. It's the vagueness inside that locks our feet in place. My mentor once said, "Jim, it's not the wind that decides the direction. It's the sail that decides where the boat will go. And goals are the sail. Without a sail, you drift. With a sail, you can change direction whether the wind is favorable or not." I want you to look at yourself for a moment. These past few years, have you truly lived or just repeated? Are you moving forward or simply moving? Are you choosing your life or is life choosing for you? Sometimes, just honestly answering these questions means you've already walked half the journey. And then I realized another important thing, something I'll dive deeper into in a few minutes. Lack of goals makes you poorer faster than any failure ever will. Because when you don't know what you want, you'll do everything, except the most important thing. But don't rush. We'll untangle this step by step together. Because to set the right goal, you first need to know where you went off track. I want to tell you a story not many people know. A story with no stage, no applause, no lights. Just a young man and a truth powerful enough to keep him awake all night. Back then, I lived on a small farm. Every morning, I got up very early, when the dew still clung to the roof of the cow barn, to begin milking. My hands were calloused, my back hurt, and my old jacket always smelled like hay. But what exhausted me wasn't the work, it was that persistent thought in my head. This life isn't meant for me. Have you ever seen someone living the life you wish for, yet it feels so far from yours? I used to feel that. I looked at successful people and thought they were born different. And me, I was just a cow-milking boy in Idaho. I remember nights sitting alone on the porch, watching the stars drift across the dark sky and asking myself, why am I stuck here? Why do others move forward while I stay in place? Then one day I met Mr. Schoaf, a man with calm eyes and a gentle, sharp smile, as if he saw in you more than you see in yourself. He didn't ask how much money I wanted to make. He didn't ask how successful I wanted to be. He simply asked, Jim, who do you want to become in 10 years? I couldn't answer. I had never thought about that. I had no image of a better version of myself. I only knew how to get through each day. He nodded very slowly and said, no wonder your bank account is empty, because your mind is just as empty. That sentence hit me so deeply, I almost lost my breath. I had never heard anyone speak to me like that. Real, direct, but not demeaning. It was like a mirror showing me everything I had been avoiding for years. He continued, lack of goals isn't a lack of direction. It's a lack of courage, to be honest with yourself. That night, I went home, and for the first time in my life, I sat down in front of a blank sheet of paper. No plan, no method, just silence, and a lot of questions I had never dared to face. I wrote very slowly. Sometimes I stopped, looked out the dark window, and wondered if I was being unrealistic. But every time my hand wanted to put the pen down, I heard Schoaf's words echoing in my head. If you don't choose the life you want to live, life will choose for you. I kept writing. Each line appeared like the first seeds I was planting. Small, but real. And for the first time, I felt I was doing something not for anyone else, but for myself. I wrote the things I wanted to experience, the places I wanted to go, the skills I wanted to master, the fears I wanted to overcome, and the image of a better Jim Rohn I had never dared believe I could become. And right then, I understood something important. Goals are not something to achieve. Goals are something that shape you into the person who can achieve them. In that moment, I was no longer the poor milk boy. I was a seed just planted in new soil. And what about you? Maybe you also have a blank piece of paper in front of you. Maybe you've been afraid to write down what you want because you failed before, fallen behind, or felt lost. But remember something I spent half my youth to understand. You cannot harvest what you have never dared to sow. And this journey, the journey you and I are beginning today, does not start with setting goals. It starts with daring to believe your life can still change direction. When I started writing down the first goals of my life, I thought it was just an exercise, something to get done. But the more I wrote, the more I realized there is a reason why most people never reach the life they truly want. And it has nothing to do with intelligence, nothing to do with luck, nothing to do with whether you started in a good place or not. It has to do with the depth of clarity inside you. Think about it. A person who doesn't know where they want to go, even if they walk for 10 years, is only moving farther away from the starting point, not closer to anywhere meaningful. I used to observe many of my friends. They worked hard, sometimes even harder than I did. They ran fast, but they were running in a vague orbit. Their lives were like a drifting boat with no sail, no direction, and everything depended on the wind. On good days, they were happy. On bad days, they were disappointed. They let the weather decide their life instead of steering their own sail. And then I realized a harsh but painfully accurate truth that almost no one wants to hear. Not everyone is ready for a better life, but everyone wants to imagine they deserve one. The difference lies here. People with goals take responsibility. People without goals place blame. People with goals endure the pain of change. People without goals endure the pain of not changing. There are years when you may feel like you're doing so many things. Working, earning money, meeting people, taking extra shifts, longer hours, overtime. But then one day you look back and realize a lot of movement, but very little progress. Like digging 100 shallow holes instead of digging one deep enough to reach water. My mentor once said something I remember for life. Jim, the reason you're tired isn't because you're doing too much. It's because you're doing too many things that don't belong to the life you want. Quote, when I heard that, it felt like someone peeled me open. For years, I thought I was trying, working hard, keeping up. But in reality, I was just wasting my energy on things that led nowhere. And then, the deeper I went, the more I understood an insight I want to share with you right now, a truth that can change the way you enter your next 10-year journey. A goal is not something you want to have. A goal is something that forces you to become. A person who wants health but lives like someone who doesn't respect their body. A person who wants wealth but behaves like someone who fears risk. A person who wants change but keeps the exact same habits. We want the result, but we don't want the price to become the person capable of creating that result. And that's why 90% of people fail. They don't lack dreams. They lack the depth of their dreams. They don't lack goals. They lack a reason strong enough to keep them holding on to their goals on the days they're exhausted. Goals are like seeds. Every seed has the potential to grow into a tree. But only the seeds planted deep and cared for well survive the first storms. And just like that, a goal only has life when it touches something that shakes you, something that keeps you awake at night, something that makes you want to try again even when you're exhausted, something that makes you refuse to live a halfway life any longer. I once asked a group of young people, "Why do you want to succeed?" Many answered, "Because I want to escape poverty." But escaping poverty has never been a reason that truly changes someone. It's too vague, too generic, too easy to forget when things get hard. The real reason is often very personal, very small, but strong enough to move a person. Some want success so their mother will never have to work another day. Some want success because they once saw their own helplessness when someone they loved was sick. Some want success to go further than their family ever could. Some want success because they know they were not born to live an average life. Those are the real reasons. And real reasons always carry the shape of a pain. We'll go deeper into that in the next part. But before we move on, I want you to take a short moment, just a few seconds. Look back at yourself. Ask yourself slowly, if I don't change in the next 10 years, would I dare face that version of me? When I began stepping into my journey of change, I realized something I had never understood before, or maybe had never been mature enough to understand. That goals do not change your life. It is who you become in the process of pursuing those goals that changes your life. It sounds simple, but it took many years for me to see how true it is. When you write down, "I want financial freedom," your life doesn't change. When you say, "I want to be rich," nothing happens. When you swear you will live differently, everything still stays the same. But the very moment you become the person worthy of those things, life is forced to change to match you. It's like planting a seed in the soil. You cannot command it to bloom. You cannot pull it up with your hands to make it grow faster. All you can do is become the person who knows how to tend the soil, how to water it, how to endure the stormy days, and trust that the quiet process underneath will create what you hope for. And then one day you see a green sprout, not because you wanted it, but because you became the person worthy of it. I've met many young people who say they want more from life. I look into their eyes and I know they're sincere. But I also see something else. They want the result, but they're not yet ready to pay the price to become the person who can create that result. They want success quickly, but don't want to trade in their old habits. They want freedom, but still hold on to relationships that drag them down. They want change, but live exactly like they did last year. You see, the gap between wanting and becoming is always bigger than we think. My mentor once said, "Jim, if you want more, you must become more. Not earn more, not do more, but become more." I carried that sentence with me for 40 years of my life. And slowly I understood, you will never attract anything that lies beyond the level of your character, your discipline, and your capacity to endure. If you want lasting success, you need to become the person who can hold that success. If you want complete love, you need to become the person who can give that completeness. If you want big opportunities, you need to become the person who doesn't run away when opportunity arrives later than expected. There were years when I was stuck. I tried to change the results, but I was still the old me. And so I kept failing. It took me a long time to realize you cannot live a new life with the old you. Just like a torn sail cannot bring a boat to distant shores no matter how favorable the wind is. One day, my mentor asked me to take a walk with him. We passed by a rice field heavy with grain. He pointed at the different rows of rice and said, "The same rain, the same sunlight, but not every patch of soil produces good grain. What decides is always the quality of the soil." I asked, "What is the soil, teacher?" He looked at me for a long time and said, It is who you are before you get what you want. That sentence stayed with me for decades. It is the map. It is the compass. It is the reminder that if I want my life to bloom, I must tend the soil first, not the flowers. A goal without inner change is just a sentence carried away by the wind. But when you change on the inside, you can walk through storms without being knocked down. I want you to imagine this. Each goal you write down today is a door, but that door only opens when you become strong enough to turn the key. And that key is not luck, not circumstances, not opportunity. It is discipline, emotional resilience, responsibility, and clarity. You know what? There were years when life didn't give me what I wanted, but it gave me challenges strong enough to turn me into the person who could receive what I wanted the following year. That's why I always say, big goals create big people. Small goals create small people. Not because the results are different, but because the journeys are different. And the journey is where you grow. You don't get paid for the goal. You get paid for the person you become on the way to that goal. You are not respected for what you write down. You are respected for who you become. And if there is one philosophy I want to leave with you tonight, just one, it is this. Don't chase results. Become the person that results have to chase. When I look back at my own journey, from the poor farm boy in Idaho to someone who later had the chance to stand in front of millions of students, I am still amazed by one thing. I did not move fast. I was not especially intelligent. I did not have a good starting point. And I wasted many years just running after life without knowing where I was headed. But then one day, just one day, everything changed direction. Not because I got lucky, not because I suddenly became talented, but because I dared to sit down, open a blank sheet of paper, and be honest with myself. I want you to remember this. Every life that changes direction begins with a moment of honesty. Not success, not money, not motivation, just honesty. Honest that you are tired of a life that keeps repeating itself. Honest that you want more for yourself and the people you love. Honest that you deserve a bigger journey. Honest that you have delayed for too long. And also be honest that you still have time to rewrite your life. You know, I once thought my entire life had already been decided. But no, we are not born to live on an old track. We are born to grow little by little, day by day. 10 years from now, you will meet yourself again. That version of you will look back at you today and ask, thank you for starting, or why did you let it slip away? The answer is up to you. No one decides for you. No one writes your life for you. No one runs for you on this road, but you are not walking alone. I have walked that road, and I know, no matter how hard it gets, the only thing that keeps you moving forward is the belief that goals are not for achieving. Goals are for becoming. If this part touches you, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel again what you truly want. And if you're watching this video in silence, leave a little in the comments. Not for me to know, but for you to remind yourself that you are still here, still listening, still walking this journey. And before we end, I want to leave you with a sentence. I have carried almost my whole life a sentence I believe you've heard somewhere before. But today, I want you to hear it with a different heart. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. If this video touches you, take these last few seconds to click like so. The algorithm knows you receive value. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new lessons, and share in the comments. What is the first goal you will write down after this video? I am really looking forward to reading your answer. Thank you for staying with me until the end. See you in the next video where we will continue the journey of building the person you are becoming.